Mr. Crumb. Call me by my last name, you say Mr. in front of it.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at the most interesting times TV shows featured many of the same key actors as other shows. Separate shows that share the same narrative canon are not included.
Now, say my name.
Number 10, Game of Thrones and Three-Body Problem. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss oversaw such a huge ensemble on Game of Thrones that some actors were bound to meet again.
Are you certain?
It's what the High Septon wrote in his private diary. I don't know why he'd lie.
Quite a few fan favorites reunited when the showrunners and Alexander Wu teamed up on Netflix's adaptation of the Chinese sci-fi series Three-Body Problem. It's particularly fun to see John Bradley play more confident than Samuel Tarly as a forthright entrepreneur.
What did you call your company?
The Nanotechnology Research Center.
That's probably the most boring name I've ever heard.
And Liam Cunningham, who was one of the few truly good guys in Westeros, makes for a chilling villain. Jonathan Pryce, Conleth Hill, and others also show up in the first season alone.
If either of you have a proposal to explain the behavior of the sun, I will consider it now.
As mind-bending as Three-Body Problem is overall, even the cast will thrill Game of Thrones fans. Number 9, The Haunting, Midnight Mass, and The Fall of the House of Usher. Mike Flanagan has always been loyal to his collaborators. He seemed to just be following horror anthology tradition when he recycled most of the cast from The Haunting of Hill House for its follow-up, The Haunting of Bly Manor.
You try to help, but there's just too many of them. And too little of you.
But when he returned to Netflix with the miniseries Midnight Mass, he brought such talents as Alex Esso, Rahul Kohli, and Samantha Sloan. Newcomers Zach Gilford and Igby Rigney then joined these veterans for The Fall of the House of Usher.
Juno's gonna be at the Met this weekend.
Ultimately, all 4 series featured Carla Gugino, Henry Thomas, and Flanagan's wife, Kate Siegel. Casting is clearly part of this horror drama auteur's signature. As versatile as his actors are, fans can only look forward to seeing them again.
What made you ditch the other party? All dressed up, didn't wait for the ball to drop?
Change of scenery.
Number 8, Deadwood and Fear the Walking Dead. You expect to see familiar faces walking around AMC's The Walking Dead franchise.
Here's an idea.
Alicia, not helpful.
I'm gonna try to help Travis.
What did you say?
It's okay.
It's none of his business.
As Fear the Walking Dead began adopting a Western aesthetic, however, it did more than revive the style of the HBO classic Deadwood. Kim Dickens first reunited with Dayton Cowley and Ray McKinnon in Season 3.
Still not much for knocking, huh? I'm going Alamo, Madison. Last line of defense.
Then came Garrett Dillahunt in Season 4. Then came Keith Carradine, whom he killed over a card game to play his father. Most of these actors didn't even star in Deadwood the movie. Dillahunt himself used the obvious wordplay Fear the Walking Deadwood in an interview for the Hype magazine. Whether the showrunners were motivated by that pun, they probably wanted to see Deadwood reincarnated more than most.
This was meant to be a knife through butter. No resistance, you say?
Mea culpa. Someone tipped off the dam you were coming. It was beyond my control, but all is well now.
There are corpses floating in the water we're meant to distribute and drink.
Number 7, Community, Rick and Morty, and Solar Opposites. Community landed such big stars and cult fandom that Dan Harmon could count on viewers picking up on familiar voices in Rick and Morty.
I know a place that serves cruelty-free donuts. If you'd like, I could fly you and your friend there, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Okay, I'll ask him.
Allison Brie, Gillian Jacobs, Joel McHale, and Jim Rash were especially notable guest stars on the animated comedy. Keith David also voices the increasingly recurring President Andre Curtis.
You can put your faith in nukes if we get through this, General. Until then, I'll put mine in Rick and Morty. Get swifty with a jam.
Nathan Fillion, Tony Hale, and John Oliver are just a few more of the many to pass through the hallowed halls of Harmon's 2 shows.
We loved each other. We had a child together.
Several alumni even signed up for Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland's show Solar Opposites. With all the pop culture references in these shows, audiences should keep their ears open for Easter eggs right down to the casting.
Corvo! Hey, buddy. Check out my new business, Fruit by Keith by the Foot. I'm making my own fruit snacks.
I don't have time for your crazy neighbor antics.
Number 6, American Horror Story and American Crime Story. Brad Falchuk and Ryan Murphy embrace the fantasy of American Horror Story by recasting many actors across the anthology seasons.
You've already paid for one night. Trust me. This place will grow on you.
Despite the titular connection, American Crime Story downplays that gimmick while dramatizing high-profile true crime cases. Nonetheless, there are many casting connections between the series. AHS mainstay Sarah Paulson helmed The People vs. O.J. Simpson as Marcia Clark, eventually returning as Linda Tripp in Impeachment.
If you'll excuse me. Some of us have real jobs.
Across 3 seasons of ACS, heaps more AHS alums have appeared in smaller roles. Cuba Gooding Jr. and Cody Fern actually did crime first. These talents are so immersed in playing historical figures that it's rarely distracting. Falchuk and Murphy's repeat collabs still provide much-needed fun in all of their intense anthologies.
Now tell me, woman, what fills your heart with dread?
Number 5. Vice Principals and The Righteous Gemstones. Vice Principal star power may have been outshined by the irreverent romp The Righteous Gemstones.
Everybody in your line keeps getting water up the nose. You're dipping them back too far.
How about you do it your way and I'll do it mine?
How about you do it right? How about that?
But fans of creators Danny McBride and Jody Hill were no less sold by Edie Patterson being promoted to McBride's top billing in the cast. Never mind Walton Goggins wearing aging makeup to play their uncle, Baby Billy Gemstone.
Yes, I have been down the block a few times, and I got the silver hairs to prove it.
Shea Wiggum also has a memorable guest stint, also in aging makeup. There may not be much more cast overlap between Vice Principals and The Righteous Gemstones, but it consistently makes an impact for McBride and Hill's followers. If they love this duo's wild sense of humor, then the self-conscious casting can only add to the oeuvre.
Y'all are not the only married people in this family. Me and BJ are also strongly betrothed and also crushing it.
Not a real family. No kids.
Number 4. Star Trek The Next Generation and Gargoyles. Viewers have long discussed the bizarre number of Star Trek actors who voiced in the Disney animated fantasy Gargoyles.
Hold it. Let's just let them play out their little drama, shall we?
Goliath, you're a fool. But then you always were, weren't you?
Of the over 24 franchise veterans who made this trek, much of the Next Generation's core cast was prominently featured. A pay dispute was reportedly the only thing that kept Patrick Stewart from lending his legendary voice. The story goes that after Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis were cast in Gargoyles, the production made it a mission to expand the connection. Other big stars include Avery Brooks of Deep Space Nine, Kate Mulgrew of Voyager, and Nichelle Nichols of the original series. The Next Generation simply kicked off years of diplomacy between Trekkies and Gargoyles geeks.
I have done as you bid, my lord. I have walked among them, lived among them, and I have come to know them well.
Number 3. The Shield, Sons of Anarchy, and The Abandons. The Shield made household names of Walton Goggins, CCH Pounder, and others. It also led to writer and executive producer Kurt Sutter creating his own FX crime drama, Sons of Anarchy.
Ever talk to you about his vision? About what he wanted from the club?
His vision was, what it is. A brotherhood.
Besides wife Katie Seagal taking the lead, many veterans of The Shield led extended guest arcs. Pounder was especially crucial in Season 6 as a district attorney who was basically Claudette Wims.
Tell your lawyer I'll be moving up the trial date 3 weeks, and I'll be prosecuting the case myself. See you in court, Doctor.
And Vic Mackey himself, Michael Chiklis, was pivotal in Sons of Anarchy's final episodes. Of course, nothing tops Goggins' tenure as Venus Van Dam. There was clearly much self-awareness in how these veterans were cast and used in the story. With Ryan Hurst and Michael Ornstein slated to appear in Netflix's The Abandons, Sutter sure knows how to thrill true fans.
Listen, you're gonna write this up, right?
Number 2. The X-Files and Breaking Bad. Before breaking the mold of peak TV, Vince Gilligan worked extensively on The X-Files.
Scully, look at this.
What is it? We don't know. The hotel claims it wasn't here before Mr. Newark checked in.
He was also so impressed by comedic actor Bryan Cranston's guest performance in Season 6 that he made him the headliner on Breaking Bad.
Say my name.
That wasn't the only promotion from Gilligan's first show. Aaron Paul and Dean Norris went from unknown guest stars to leads in one of the biggest TV dramas ever. The prolific Michael Seamus Wiles, Dale Dickey, and Danny Trejo are just some of the most distinct crossovers in the supporting cast.
Tortuga means turtle. That's me. I take my time, but I always win.
With Gilligan's creative control on his masterpiece, this X-Files reunion isn't exactly a coincidence. For fans of the sci-fi classic, though, the casting gives Breaking Bad its own eerie quality.
But you know the business. And I know the chemistry. I'm thinking maybe you and I could partner up.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Wire and Treme. The gritty realism of David Simon's HBO shows pardons their tendency to share actors. In fact, the crossovers were particularly glaring in his two most celebrated works, The Wire and Treme.
Listen, bro.
You need a gig, huh?
Oh, brother, I'm handing them out.
Oh, man, I got you. Come on down there to Barnes and swing out with us.
Man.
Come on down tonight.
Wendell Pierce led the march with the iconic roles of a Baltimore police detective and a New Orleans jazz musician. Clark Peters, James Ranson, and others also adapted to this very different narrative environment. And yes, several of Simon's people appeared in The Deuce and We Own This City.
See if we go through another round of riots, or the new mayor will defend the city.
While HBO was establishing itself as the new standard of TV, it wasn't unusual for some character actors to appear in different productions. But in keeping that tradition alive, Simon reminds networks that they should have more faith in recurring actors' range.
Is this what I'm hearing? He's got you, Jimmy.
What are your favorite cast overlaps between TV shows? Make an appearance in the comments.
It's the galaxy's faith in the Vindicators that keeps the galaxy secure.
Yeah, I feel safer already.
No doubt. Who do we make the check out to?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.